Lately, I've been working on quite a few things. I've been getting my HomeLab ready for my next tour. I do a tour every year, and towards the end of November, I'm like, I should kind of clean it up a little bit. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. And I don't just mean tidying up stuff. I mean, you know, I don't know, solidifying all of the temporary hacks that I have in place. You know, as I get into October and things start cooling off, I know, okay, I'm going to do my tour in December probably. I should probably, you know, tidy up all those things, all those loose ends that I have, and not have so many temporary things in place. Also, last night I had a little bit of time in between watching Raid Owl and Colton, our Hardware Havens, watching their $200 HomeLab kind of, I want to say bake-off, but it's not a bake-off, challenge. Between that, I actually finally got to test the PiKVM v4. I had 2 hours and I was sitting here writing some code, and I'm like, why am I sitting here writing code? I finally have some time, so I got to test that a little bit too. Spoiler alert, I'm running into the same thing with the TESmart. So I know a lot of people have been asking, hey, when are you gonna test the TESmart along with the PiKVM v4 and see if it fixes everything? Spoiler, it doesn't. I still have some weird issues. I don't know. You know, I have 3 Intel NUCs hooked up to it, all fine. As soon as you add a 4th, it goes crazy. And so I understand what is going on. It's been trained, or it knows the EDID of those Intel NUCs, which are all the same because it's the same model. As soon as I add anything into it, I tried an old Asus motherboard. I tried one of my I forget what it's called. Another one of my Intel NUCs and another PC. And then even my Zima board I tried, and same thing. As soon as you add one thing that's different, it like learns that EDID and then it forgets the rest. So I honestly think it's TESmart, because I mean, you know, I mean, I can plug things directly and it works fine, you know. So anyway, so that's what I've been working on, and it's been pretty awesome. So anyways, I'm getting prepared for my HomeLab tour. I'm gonna break it up and do hardware and software because there's just way too much to go into. I think I'm gonna do a little bit deeper dive on the hardware piece, and talk about the roles a little bit more, because I have changed quite a bit. Even though it might look the same on the outside, maybe depends on the last time you saw it. It has changed quite a bit, and for the better. And I got some more changes coming too that I'll probably talk about. I will. I'll foreshadow a little bit. Really quick, dude. Oh my gosh. So my notifications are a little bit different. I'll say that. Dude, Ilud gifted tier 1 subs. Gifted 5 tier 1 subs. Dude, thank you so much. Dang, thank you so much. 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Ilud. So Chunk Norris, Omerk 20, Chris Titus Tech. How's it going, man? My man, Chris Titus Tech up in here. Enjoy your gifted stuff from Ilud, Alex Geek, and Redstone Games. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? Good to see you, Dawson. Enjoy your gifted stuff from Ilud. Man, some people I recognize too. So hey, how's it going? So anyways, that's what I've been working on. I've totally been just rambling about it, but I have so much on my mind. And then earlier this morning too, I decided to do this crazy like TrueNAS move, like move and reshuffle all of my shares and redo the way that I'm doing a lot of my shares. I had this iSCSI hack in place for a long time to get around some other things. I'm still going to do the iSCSI hack to TrueNAS. But I'm shuffling some stuff around and making some of my SMB shares first-class citizens on TrueNAS rather than like nested through a Linux and a Windows server for other reasons. There's good reasons, but I decided to simplify things a little bit more and take a little bit more advantage of TrueNAS too, rather than doing everything through a nice SCSI share. So that's what I've been working on. Let me know what you've been working on. Throw it in the chat. We'll talk about it. I see lots of people do stuff in there already. I appreciate it. I'll throw it up on the screen and we'll go through and we'll talk about it. Did I miss any other notifications? I have a little bit slightly different setup going on. I don't think I did. It saddens me that my activity feed didn't show the gifted ones from Ilud. I mean, I see it in chat, but I don't see it. I don't see it in my activity feed on Stream Elements, which is kind of maybe I don't think I have them filtered out. No, I don't have anything filtered out. Anyways, thank you again, Ilud. I appreciate it. on top of everything else you do. So let's talk. Let's chat. If you have something you wanna talk about, throw it in chat. I'm just gonna work my way from the top all the way down, and I will definitely try to give you my best answer. there's a lot of smart people in here too who also contribute, and yeah, we'll try to figure it out. If you have something you're working on, something you're interested in, something you're stuck on, or something you just want to celebrate, all related to tech, all related to tech, throw it in there, and we'll talk about it. I got my glasses on today. I feel like I should take them off, but my face is just like, I think I am going to take my glasses off. All right, no glasses, Tim, for a little bit, just because I feel like I'm like catching a cold or something. Like my face is just like, I don't know if you can hear it, but I need to, yeah. Just roll with it. So let's see what's going on. Where are you at? Xavier's D first in chat today. Razzing me already. How's it going, man? Oh, and a double razz too. What did you break now, Tim? Yeah, I was a couple of minutes late, only because that's my thing. I'm a couple of minutes late. No, I meant to start on time. A couple minutes late. It has everything to do with this Mac that I'm streaming on. Hopefully get my Windows machine built and racked in soon. It's just like that project is, I pushed it off now twice. I might push it off a little bit more. I thought I was gonna go with an Intel CPU, 13th gen. Now 14th gen is just like 13th gen, and I hear they're making some huge changes with the next one, so I'm kind of pushing it off. I mean, I've been pushing off replacing my Windows machine for a long time. Now I kind of replaced it with my Mac, but I'm still gonna build one for gaming and go back to streaming on it, because man, streaming on a Mac is a struggle. Unless Apple fixes a billion bugs they have with Sonoma. But I want to see what Intel has next. I'm their last two, I don't know, one or two processor releases have been lackluster, and I'm kind of just waiting. I don't know, waiting to spend a lot of money. That's for sure. But anyways, oh my God, but yeah, that's me. Let's see. Hey, CBP Pilot. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. No, you're gonna see me squinting now because I don't have my glasses on. Oh man, this is where I shouldn't touch things, but I kind of want to touch them to pump up the font on this, but I'm not going to. Okay, let's see. Xavier's D spent my night creating an Ubuntu lightweight VM install, a regular Ubuntu install, etc. Going to what? Etc. Going to Sutton them into turn them, I assume, into templates for today's VMs. Awesome, man. That is awesome. Yeah, go templates when you can. I'm a huge fan of. I keep my templates super vanilla. Like my template is Cloud Init, and you guys can do this however you want. You guys have great reasons for doing it. But the way I've done it is not create like super customized templates or use Packer to do stuff to my templates. I have a Cloud Init template that is the latest Cloud Init directly from whoever Cloud Init themselves, and I run that. And then so the way that I do it is I use the Cloud Init image, then I use Cloud Init settings, and then after that I take care of everything with Ansible afterwards. Because like I don't know, for me at least, I don't want to like touch it. It's kind of like my master image, my golden image, I would say, is Cloud Init. And then I go from there and do everything with Ansible. So I automate everything with Ansible after that. I could totally get it why you would do it. If you have like 15 things you want to do, you're kind of like, well, why I do these 15 things every time? Like, why not bake them into the image? And that's totally fine too. It's a huge time saver. But I try to keep that. I try to keep it, for me, as vanilla as possible, and then follow up with some config management or Ansible automation afterwards. So. But yeah, man, sounds like fun. Sounds like a good thing to do on a Saturday. I don't know. A lot of tech stuff for me is good to do on a Saturday, especially when it's a little bit cooler out like this. Bill Mayer, yay! And here I was thinking I missed it. I was going to miss it. I'm saying Gad had missed it. Gotcha. Sed. Oh, all right. I like the sed commands in there. All right. So we're doing a sed replace Gad with had. I like it. You could have done the sed replace the G with the H. If there was only one. Oh, it's the first instance, I think, unsaid. I don't think it's all instances. Can't remember. XavierD, I want to set up a lightweight VM to just run Portainer and use it to manage all of my Dockers on all the server suggestions. So I want to set up a lightweight VM just to run Portainer and use it to manage all of my Docker containers on all server suggestions. Yeah, that'll work. That should work fine. Yeah, you would just install the agent. Yeah, so it'll work, right? I think the way that Portainer works, they have the business edition, which the business edition, you can get a free trial that lasts forever. And I think you get 5 agents. I think that's the way it works. And so what do you want to do if you just want to have one UI to manage all those running across all of your nodes? Yeah, you would just install the agent and then deploy them that way. Sounds like you're starting to build Kubernetes though, because you get yeah. Sounds like you're starting to build Kubernetes. You're getting there. Xavier, you're starting to get there. As soon as you start saying multiple machines and managing from one place, you know, it's starting to sound, I don't want to say it's exactly like Kubernetes, but the next piece is going to be, oh, well, you know, this container on this machine, you know, is running here and I want SSL or certificates, or I want to be able to remote into that machine, or I want, you know, a reverse proxy in front of that machine so that I can get to it. And then you start building out traffic on one machine, and then you start doing all this port magic, you know, to point to all those nodes. And then you're like, hey, what if traffic goes down? I want to have another one because now this is a single point of failure. This is how it starts. This is like the Plex media server. This is the Plex of HomeLab. This right here is the Kubernetes of HomeLab right here. It's that same spiral path you go down when you're like, yeah, just build a media server, you know, on a Pi and a USB hard drive, and then, you know, whatever. A year later, it's like you got a server rack in your basement. Woody, hey, how's it going? When do you plan to show us? Oh, my voice kind of cracked there. Woody, when do you plan to show us a tour of your mini rack and explain what and why for what you are using it? Yeah, good question. I did talk about that in kind of like when my studio kind of tour, I guess, or when I redid a lot of it in here. I want to say soon, but it's going to be pushed off a little bit later. And the main reason why is because what I was just talking about a little bit earlier was my Windows machine. So I don't want to show off like my mini rack down here until I have my Windows machine in there too. I mean, it's in there. It's pretty bare. I have a UniFi switch. I have my Mac racked in there. I have some LEDs in there. I think I have one more thing. Oh yeah, well, I had a UPS in there, but I took it out because I needed the space, because I bought too small, but I did it on purpose. But long story short, I want to wait until I get my Windows machine built, because I have a Sliger case. It's under here. I kick the box like every 15 times a day. And I want to get my Windows build inside of that Sliger case. It'll be water cooled, so I can rack mount that too. And so, I mean, but I can tell you what the purpose is for. I mean, a lot of it is just all of my studio equipment. So think of like, I mean, I wouldn't even say studio equipment. It sounds so AV, you know, but my workstations. So I have a Mac workstation. I have a Windows workstation. Soon I have a Linux workstation, and I want them all racked inside of this small little rack. Why do I want them all racked? It's pretty expensive to do that. Yeah, it is. But you know, throughout the years, I realized that like having a rack, even for your workstation or your desktop PC, just makes like cable management and power and everything so much easier, because you have a single entry point for networking, you have a single entry point for power, for USB, and then it all doesn't, you know, it's basically pushing the cable management down into that box, rather than having a PC, you know, right there, all kinds of crazy wires coming out, then a Mac right there, all kinds of crazy wires coming out. I can, you know, create one big umbilical cord, put them in there, and then it's nice and tidy. Plus, I like it. I don't know. It's kind of on brand too. Racking everything. So, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say in January. But then again, like, hey, I was just talking about Intel and how I kind of want to wait for what's next with them. And I kind of want to wait for what's next with them because, you know, the 13 and 14th gen, it kind of, I mean, they're great. It'll be awesome for me going from an 8th gen to a 13th or 14th. But I hear they, you know, rumor is they might change a lot of the architecture too. So Do I want to be on the last generation, you know, of this old architecture, quote unquote? If they do have a new architecture, no. I've waited this long. I can wait a little bit longer. So, yeah, and it's been I've been checking all the time, checking out Intel rumors, and I think that's the way that they're going to go, is change a little bit of their architecture, which I hope, for me personally, I hope it more means more PCIe lanes, because man, 20 is tough. 20 is tough. That's a video card and an NVMe drive. So, Max Payne Life, Techno Tim, do you know of any good Terraform Acme Let's Encrypt providers? I don't off the top of my head. No, I don't, because that's not how I use Let's Encrypt. So I don't personally. What I would do is just go out to, you know, Terraform, not Universe, but the repository of all the Terraform stuff. Look at the one with the most thumbs up or stars and check it out. I use Let's Encrypt a little bit different. I mean, I use it in Kubernetes with Cert Manager. I have used it in the past with Traffic and Docker. But both of those use cases like don't include Terraform at all. So, I mean, unless you're going to deploy, you know, those stacks or those deployments in Kubernetes with Terraform. But I don't. I'm sure other people do. You should totally throw that in Discord, either in the automation channel or security channel or whatever channel you feel like it should be in. Because I'm sure people have. And I'll look it up too. I'll look it up later. If you ping me and remind me, I'll look. Because it sounds like I should have an answer for that. At least be more educated on that. See, the Chubby Panda. How's it going, Tim? I need advice. I have 2 physical nodes for Kubernetes. 2. Interesting. I want to fail over only critical applications from one powerful node to one NUC. I was thinking K3S with a warm standby Postgres. Interesting. Let me think about this. How do you only have 2 physical nodes? I think you mean workers. Maybe. Who knows? I mean, it could be anything. I don't want to make any assumptions. So let me pull this back up. Okay, so what I will say is you want to get to 3 with your control plane and etcd. I'm going to assume you do. Because then you don't have a high availability cluster. Going to same that. 2 machines total. Oh man, we're ooh. So that must mean a single node control plane etcd and 1 worker node. Just making it up. This one's tough. Because you're talking about failover in HA, but yet you only have 2 nodes, you know. And of those nodes, I don't know what the roles are. Probably one of the 2 ways that I just said it. Either there's 1 node that's doing control plane and etcd, and it's a single node, and then there's 1 worker or 1 agent that's running exactly single node. All right, so why not? I mean, it's not truly HA then, right? Like if your single master goes down, your whole cluster's down. I mean, yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's in read-only mode, you know, at that point. I should say that, because your containers will continue to run, right? Your containers will continue to run. So yeah, anyways, if we're talking about HA, I'm getting caught up in the comments versus the question. What I would do personally is I would get 3 nodes. I would get 1 more node, right? And then if you really are constrained on hardware, for a small cluster, you could run all roles on all nodes, right? And that kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You're going to want, you know, decent networking. You're going to want decent disk speeds. We're talking SSDs or plus. And you're going to want, you know, okay workloads, nothing that's just going to crush one of your machines. I don't know what your requirements are, or your workloads, or the nodes. But in general, if you want 3 machines, and if you want everything HA, I stuttered for a minute. If you want everything HA, you could do all roles, all nodes. 3 machines, all 3 doing etcd plus control plane, all 3 also being worker nodes. And then what does that get you? Well, that lets you lose 1 node, period. You can only lose 1 node if you have multiple if you have multiple etcd. If you have a HA of 3, you can only lose 1 node. Kind of what you're in. I mean, not what you're in now. You use 1 node, your cluster's down. And 3 node, you lose 1, you're still up and going. That's probably the way I would go. If someone said, hey, you only have 3 machines and you got to run Kubernetes, what would you do? I'd run 3. I'd run 3 and I give them all roles. It's just how it is. I would just say, well, I don't have much other choice. And then I know you want to fail over. You want to fail over to a high-powered machine, if possible, and not use it. But for Kubernetes, you kind of want if it's warm and always on, sure, you could fix that with labels or not taints, but labels, and prefer some machines over the other. And basically, it's kind of complicated. But what you can do with labels, you could say like, hey, do not co-locate any of these. If you set up zones or you set it up by host, don't co-locate any of these pods unless you can't satisfy some criteria. And that criteria might be whatever. Could be host name, could be zone. There are many ways to solve it. I would say go 3 nodes first. Because that's going to get you HA everything. I mean, it's going to get you HA Kubernetes. It's going to get you HA possibly workloads if your workloads can be scaled to more than one. Yeah, I mean, because the other way around, if you're only doing a single master node, that node goes down. Kubernetes is down, but you have 2 nodes. So I think the answer here is 3 nodes. 3 nodes is going to be your best bet. And if you can't squeeze anything else out of them, do all roles for all nodes, and then you'll have an HA cluster with workloads that could also be HA if they support it. The multi-node cluster controller is what you want. Call Kubernetes. Yeah, that's right. I think that, I don't know if that's for Xavier's D, but yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people are like trying to build Kubernetes on their own. And I get it, Kubernetes is complicated, but building Kubernetes on your own kind of is too. It's really complicated, and it might not seem like it at first. It's the death by 1,000 cuts. I've done it many times in Docker. I had multiple Docker machines up and running, multiple instances of traffic running on each Docker, getting certificates. Then I threw some Keepalived load balancing in front of that. And then I built it. I built my own Kubernetes out of Docker before. And at the end of the day, you're kind of like, what's going on in here? What's going on over here? Why is this down? And you don't have a single pane of glass or a control plane to actually, do things. You have multiple panes of glass and you have multiple control planes to do stuff. And it gets complicated really quick. And then the same goes with storage, same goes with networking, same goes with everything else. So, but yeah, it's easy to do, but I think at some point, flipping over to Kubernetes gets a little bit easier. But most people don't need to do HA stuff unless they're learning or they want it. And that's when I say, like, that's where as soon as you start talking about more than one Docker node, that's where it's like, okay, that might be the tipping point for Kubernetes. Unless you're totally fine with Docker and those jobs that are running don't expose any ports, and they're just like transcoding nodes that don't need anything. They don't need any ingress or certificates or anything like that. So, OneDrop, what's up, my man? How's it going? I'm finally able to join the stream for once. Daughter is napping. All right, I'll be quiet. Good to see you, man. Xavius, nope, not Kubernetes. I don't think HA or migration or anything else. Docker stuff runs ours, Stable Diffusion, Jellyfin. Yeah, yep. You just want to place them and manage them. Yeah. So this is kind of what I was talking about. I mean, that's totally fine too. That'll work. It's just what you're going to do, a lot of port management. And then if you're ever doing certificates, that instance of traffic or whatever, Nginx proxy manager, whatever it is, doing your reverse proxy needs to live in one place. And then you're going to have to tunnel through for everything else and then open up node ports on all those nodes. So, Bill, I need help. Bill needs help? No way. Bill's got this. I need help with storage on an HL15. I get 10 gigabit with iPerf 3, but NFS and Samba are a fraction of that. Ideas. That's tough. Because, it depends on how many disks you have, right? Depends on how many spindles you have. Depends on, really spindles. It depends on how your drives are aligned, I guess, or or in a RAID or not a RAID, or using ZFS, not using ZFS. That's tough to say because NFS should be pretty raw performance. So basically you're tuning, right? You're trying to tune it. You can get it in memory or on the CPU using iPerf, but you can't get it from the drive. So your IOPS are tanking, and that could be a couple of things. Let's talk about the couple of things. Could be the way that your storage is laid out, right? Could be laid out in a funky way. Who knows? I mean, try RAID 0 at first, or try one drive to see if you can get those numbers up. If that doesn't work, go Stripe, go 2, go 3, go 4. Because this is all in the beginning, right? You don't have data on that stuff. Try that. Different, arranging your drives differently. 2, I don't know if you're using TrueNAS on top of it. Maybe you are. But if you're using, I don't know, TrueNAS or ZFS in general, I think by default it's doing synchronous writes to where it needs confirmation that the last things were written before it will proceed. I think that's how it works. And so you could temporarily turn off, synchronous writes, I think. And that will give you performance, but that's dangerous because you're not acknowledging anymore that something was written. 2, I think it'd be slog, not arc. I think it'd be slog. Your slog, right, for synchronous writes, if because it's gonna dump things there, I think. And then 3, SMB is just it is not great because it's single threaded and you don't get great performance. Should it be dog slow? No. But should it be 8 to 7 or 8 or 9 maybe? Yeah. So there's also but you're getting this on NFS. I was going to say if this was only SMB and you've checked all those things, then it would be okay, now it's time for, I think, multi-channel SMB, which is pretty new. I don't know much about it. I heard 45 Drives talking about it when I was on their podcast. I looked into it a little bit, but basically chunking up the files and each path taking a little bit and piecing it back together on the other side. But you're getting this with NFS too, so I don't think it's anything to do with the service. Anyways, it's going to be how your drives are laid out. If you're using ZFS, it's going to be the synchronous writes. You could disable all of that and test it yourself and put together, a RAID 0 of 5, 6 drives just to test and see if you're getting that right speed. You should be able to. No problem. So yeah, something's up. I'm betting it's synchronous. Undercurve. I'm setting up Authentik in my HomeLab. All right, yeah. So you're going zero trust, or at least you're putting a proxy auth in front of your reverse proxy, so that anyone coming in needs to authenticate to you before they get in. So yeah, good idea for stuff. It's definitely it's a good route to take. Even if you have basic auth endpoints, I still think it's good to put your own auth in front of it too, just in case their auth fails. What I'm saying is this would be like putting, Authentik in front of WordPress. Should you? I don't know. Would I? Yeah, I would. Does it mean I have to log in twice? Probably. But that's that's kind of how it goes. I think you can pass a security header and stuff like that, so you don't have to do double login or something like that. But I think it's good, especially for things that don't have auth. There are a lot of random stuff, especially when it comes into self-hosting stuff, that don't do any auth at all. I totally get it. They're like, we're not going to write an auth mechanism because that's a lot of work and a lot of risk to take on and work to take on. So they don't do it. And then they just say, hey, auth is up to you. And it kind of stinks when that happens, but I get it. And that's where Authentik comes in for sure. One drop. I want to set up KubeVirt so I can run unrated Kubernetes. He's trolling. I know where you're going with that. Undercurve. Oh, heck yeah. Centralized auth for the win. I agree too. Zebra Cakes. Struggling with finding the motivation to HomeLab when work and family sucks all of my energy. Suggestions. At first I thought there was going to be a period after sucks. Work and family sucks. It's tough. I say carve out time. I'd say carve out time. Instead of it's just like there's this budgeting technique where you pay yourself first. There's a budgeting technique where it's called pay yourself first, and that's where you invest the money, and you invest the money you're going to invest. You give yourself a little bit of an allowance, you pay your IRA, whatever. You do all the things you're supposed to, you know, all the things you're supposed to do first, and then with the leftovers, you know, you figure it out. This is getting kind of weird when it comes into family time and stuff like that, because I'm not saying like, hey, no, don't spend time with them. But what I would say is carve out an hour and do it ahead of time too. Just say like, hey, you know what? On Wednesday, I'm doing this. And what I found is motivating sometimes too is write down a list of the things you want to do or the things you want to accomplish. I think that motivates people a little bit when they write it down. Okay, and now they've committed to doing this, or at least committed to like exploring this. I think that helps too. And 3, like that gives you a little bit of time throughout the week to something to look forward to or something to like noodle on in the back of your head too. For me, I love having plans on like for something I'm going to work on Friday, you know, and it's Monday. That's like my best because like I will iterate through every possible thing I can think of every possible edge case and, you know, try to think of ways that it will or won't work and have this plan ahead of time to where I can then just mostly execute. So, and then I say, you know, my last suggestion is you don't have to do it. You know, you don't have to do it at all. I get it. When you're burnt out on stuff, you know, the last thing you want to do is more stuff that kind of feels like work or feels like work to you, you know, because then you're burning the candle at both ends. You're getting burnout of, you know, don't want to say burnout of your family, but, you know, your energy is getting burnt out with family and work. And then you're going to go do something else that's going to aggravate you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Not worth it, you know. No one says you have to do it, but if it's something you want to do and you want to continue, I think it involves a little bit of planning and just carving out time. And then I think planning, though, goes a long way. Even if it's, like I said, write down 1, 2, 3 things, you know, you want to accomplish on Wednesday night, you know, at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whenever the kids' bedtime are. Or, you know, carve out that time, 5 in the morning, get up an hour earlier. That's not me. I'd rather stay up an hour later any day of the week than get up an hour earlier. But that might be you. And so that's where your time is. And you have a clear mind. You're motivated, less distractions. Do it before work, you know, let work get the burnt out piece of you. But yeah, that's all. That's the only thing I can suggest is carve out time, plan for it. And at the end of the day, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. Give yourself small tasks to accomplish. I like it. Yeah, that's where it's going to. Yeah, quick wins too. Quick wins. Like if don't like set up these monumental tasks that you can't accomplish in that 1 hour. You know, maybe something small. Maybe it's just like, hey, I'm gonna, you know, do cable management for an hour. That's something where it's like, hey, still HomeLab. Hey, still learning a lot. But 2, it's a little more physical and you're not staring at a screen. I mean, I managed my server cables about a half hour this morning, and then probably about an hour and a half last night when I was doing all the PiKVM v4 testing. Forgot how like calming it is for me to like get those cables managed. How great it felt afterwards. So yeah, lots of ways. Yeah, or lots of ideas in Discord too. Sigor, how's it going? Hey everyone, good to see you. CBP Pilot, I'm in the middle of trying to set up Keepalived. Speaking of Keepalived, with LAN Cache and PiHole on the same host. Nice. Then I have a Raspberry Pi running PiHole as a backup DNS that syncs between the first 2 PiHoles with Gravity Sync. Thought was Keepalived would go with LAN Cache or backup PiHole. Funny, I was just looking into all of this. Exactly that. I'd say about a week ago, because I've been considering bringing in LAN Cache. For a lot of reasons. One, you know, just because I think it's cool. But then I was like, oh, I have PiHole, and how could I set that up? And I figured it all out. I mapped it out all in my head. Exactly what you're doing here is basically you put Keepalived and you do like an active, not active, whatever, active, non-active load balancer. The active one is always PiHole, which then could be something else downstream. I'm sorry, the active one is always LAN Cache, and then have PiHole downstream, your normal PiHole stuff downstream. But on that load balancer, also, the inactive side is still all of your PiHole downstream. Because I was thinking in my head, like, what happens if LAN Cache is down? Like, because cache down shouldn't mean I can't access the internet. because, you know, it has, you know, it points to a DNS upstream provider, but if that's gone, like now I'm kind of screwed. And you did exactly what I thought in my head. Just put a load balancer in front of LAN cache that is your DNS, where LAN cache is active, and then if LAN cache is down, it will fall back to PiHole. But if LAN cache is up and it's a cache miss, it will still fall back to PiHole. So I like it. That's exactly what I was thinking. So yeah, sounds awesome, CBP pilot. We're on the same wave. I diagrammed that in my head last week. So awesome. Oh, we got Scam Train. Oh yeah, the Scam Train. I love it. I love it. He's talking about not real scam, but it's the hype train. Mr. E, US, enjoyed your video this week on UniFi Express. Do you still think it would replace the Protectly you built if you use that? That is, I thought it was one of the best projects I've seen. Hey, Mr. E, US. I do think it will replace it in some scenarios. So it will in some scenarios. So best case scenario where it will replace it easily is if my wife and I or anyone goes to an Airbnb and they have access to the modem Ethernet port and they can plug it directly in their router, right? And then you're downstream and yes, you're double natted, but it doesn't matter because you'll be VPNing back home. That's the perfect world scenario. Is you have access to their Ethernet and you just plug it in, right? That's not always the case, especially hotels, and you start getting into all this stuff. So my travel router, I think I'm going to bring 2 travel routers when I do travel this holiday season, just in case. But yes, so anyways, to answer your question, my preference is I will plug in the Express, which is right back there. I will plug it into the router. If I go to Airbnb, they have an Ethernet port, I'm going to plug it in because boom, like that's managed already. The VPN is managed in my single pane of glass. I can see it in my UniFi network controller, treat it just like another access point or a remote site and VPN them together. So yeah, that'll definitely work. If that doesn't work, or they only have Wi-Fi, or their router is locked in, you know, some closet to where I can't get to it, or it's shared Wi-Fi or something like that. If I have a Wi-Fi only connection, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because that UniFi Express can't join a client network and then broadcast a Wi-Fi network. Yeah, I'll say that. There are ways to figure kind of that out. But anyways, so that being said, I will still travel. I'll have 2 travel routers now, I think just to test it out. This first one though is going to be me testing them both. But I still love my Protectly one. It's still there. I still have it. It's ready to go. It's ready to go for my last trip. So that's all ready to go. It's just that one's pretty complicated. It is pretty complicated. And, you know, I don't travel often, maybe a couple times a year. And every time I'm doing it, I'm like, how does this work again? I need to print out the instruction booklet with the thing. You know, I have the instruction booklet, it's online, but I just need to keep documentation really close to that thing. And that's really what I was hoping to solve with my UniFi Express, at least in that use case, is to just have something that's dead simple, that works, that's connected securely back here to home, you know. And a lot of people have asked, well, can't you just do tailscale and this and that? And I'm like, yeah, but I would have to do that on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clients, you know, depending on when if my wife comes with me, you know, we're talking phone, tablet, you know, phone, tablet, laptop times 2. And then on top of that, one of the laptops you can't have anything installed on it because it's corporate owned, right? And then on top of that, it's, you know, I do travel with a mini camera too that I can install tailscale on. So I won't go down that path, but I think you can see how that can grow exponentially over time. And so standing up an access point where all your devices know what the SSID is awesome. You just plug it in, you're on. So anyways, but yeah, I love it. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm not going to give it away. I'm going to keep it and I'm going to keep using it. But there might be use cases for the UniFi itself. It's a scratch. It's not a pick. Sometimes the mustache hairs go crazy about this time in length. Romeo. Let me grab a drink because I'm just screaming. Romeo, I'm about to install Headscale, tailscale, speaking of, in my I know why the delay is. I just saw it. I'm about to install Headscale, tailscale in my environment. I'm really excited for this one. Yeah. So we were just talking about tailscale. So tailscale gives you a way to tunnel back into home, and Headscale gives you that proxy on the edge on the internet, so that you don't have to use their edge proxy, which is pretty cool. So yeah, you're gonna self-host Headscale, so you don't have to use their control plane, and then use tailscale to connect back. Yeah, it sounds awesome. Sounds awesome. Primes don't get notifications, I assume. I think they should. If they didn't, I apologize. I don't see them anywhere. They should. Yeah, they do. Let's see. You guys already figured that out. Stank Murphy. I like it. Stank Murphy. I'm working on getting WireGuard working in my environment. Finally got the handshakes between, I was like, handshakes? I got those when I drink too much caffeine. Finally got the handshakes between peers to work. Now trying to figure out how to get my container to see the rest of my services. All right, so WireGuard working in your environment, and so you got the handshakes for your TLS to work, and now you need to actually tunnel through that to get it to work, so you can see the rest of your services. Awesome. So yeah, it's fun. WireGuard, another good one. Good, yeah. Having some performance issues going on. I'm noticing it. Let's see, CBP pilot. Oh, also excited. I was finally able to convince our MSP to give Proxmox a try. Thanks for the help on the last stream. Oh, that was probably about like convincing. I assume it was about convincing your boss that open source is okay. Kind of went off on a tangent. I think you were mostly interested in, like, you know, the Proxmox use case, and I kind of went on a tangent on about how it's okay for everyone to use open source at work, or should be. You know, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of quirks involved, and a lot of people want support contracts and all that stuff, but I think that's how a lot of that's how a lot of open source products have gone with the support model. So, but yeah, it's I'm glad you get to try it out, right? You get to try it out. And then if you save like $100,000-$200,000, they're gonna split the bonus with you, right? That's what you tell them. Tell your boss, hey, when we don't have to renew with vendor X, where's my bonus at? I'm all about the AMD gang. I've been blue team forever. I think my last AMD was AMD, not a K62. That was my first AMD ever. It was XP or MD or MP, one of those, or all three. I think I had all three. But yeah, I'm gonna Exotic Kai Tosha. That's what I'm going. Toya. Anyone using Bitnami secrets for HomeLab Kubernetes? Just using it at the moment, and I have added some bash functions to seal faster and push my GitHub repo. I'm not. I'm using SOPs. But sealed secrets is pretty popular too. I'm not. Xavier's D, no, not Kubernetes. No, Kubernetes is not a sandwich. Rack mount the world instead of hack the planet. Tim's rant is rack the planet. I like it. I mean, I feel like there's a time and a place to rack stuff, and that time and the place is kind of, you know, if one exists or not. I mean, I think I would rack my monitors if there was a way. There's something about like having dedicated shelving or something that I really love. I mean, hence why I have a garage toolbox in my office. I like dedicated places for stuff, because then it's like, I mean, ask my wife. You should see our basement. I put in all of these container storages everywhere. I labeled them, categorized them everywhere, and now I'm like, sweet, everything has a home. So there's no more guessing. Like, where should I put this pair of scissors? Where do I put the super glue? Where do I put this, you know, painter's tape? There's places for it. I've categorized them, like, you know, sticky and not sharp, but you know, I've categorized them. But I think it goes back to that where I really like things having a place to put them. Not just because I have something going on to where I feel like they need to be there. It's on the other end when I need to find something. I love it being there. Anyways, I think it goes back to that. If I could rack more stuff, I would. If I could, I would. But having this 19-inch rack, this small 18, I think it's 18U, somewhere in there. I don't even remember. I think it's 12. Having this in here is awesome because it allows me to put all of my computer-related equipment inside of there and just not think about it anymore. It does make wire management pretty awesome. Let's see. Why not single? Oh, we talked about this. Why not single master and a single worker? Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit, but will it work? Sure. I mean, but then we're talking about HA stuff and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, you know, if we're going HA, then it's like, yeah, I mean, is it work? Sure. Yeah. Well, is there anything wrong with it? No. But you can't lose anything. You can't lose anything. You can't lose either. Xavier Steve, no, I mean general, like what does HA, oh, it means high availability. It means high availability. It means that you have more availability. I like more availability because it's, you know, it is relative, but more availability than if you had one. So, you know, in the case of Kubernetes, if you had, in a perfect scenario, you would have a workload, you know, that could run 3 replicas. Keep it easy. Let's say you have 3 nodes and you can run 3 replicas. So one, you know, all 3 of the same containers across all 3 of those nodes. You lose one node, the health check checks and says that node's down, and then takes that service or that pod out of the service load balancer, and boom, now it's only routing traffic to those 2. And you can tune that a ton to make you know, that happen quicker. But in a nutshell, that's how I use it. You know, I try to scale my replicas, not 1 per node, but within reason. I mean, sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 3, depending on how important the service is. Scale it up. Say only 1 host per node. Sorry, 1 pod per node. 1 pod per host, or I use zones, so 1 pod per zone, and spread them out. And then just let Kubernetes do the rest. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in between. Let's see, high availability. Yep, not 100% always on uptime guarantee, but highly available. Yep, automatically restarting. Yep, is still HA. I think so too. You're one short of making it a true HA solution. It will work. It will work. Don't, yeah. I never said it wouldn't. But you're one short. You're one short. Let's see, Tim. Have you been dealing with UniFi 6 Pro that keeps rebooting at random times, multiple times a day? All the connections and the switch are fine, and also tested the PoE injector. Same issue. Any advice? I've already RMA'd it a couple times. Did I get disconnected? Oh, I might have got disconnected. Control plane went down. I didn't. That's weird. That's weird. It did not tell me I got disconnected. Let's see. Hey. Yeah. Randoneering, dude. Thank you. Thanks for the Prime sub. 12 months, 1 year. Let's go. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, I joined the stream. Hiccup sounds right. Just stop and say hey. Thank you. Hey. That's my test all the time too for my microphone. It's funny. My dogs are like, what is going on? His buddy, he thinks he's in trouble when I do that. So, you know, I do have a UniFi 6 Pro. I have a hodgepodge of access points. I do have a 6 Pro. Mine doesn't randomly reboot. Mine doesn't randomly reboot. I don't know what else to say about this. I'm on the stable firmware for everything. I don't run anything that's not stable or general release or whatever. I don't run any EA. I don't run any non-stable firmware or controllers. Yeah, I don't know. The only other thing is because you mentioned in here that you're talking about you tried it with a PoE injector. The only thing I would then try is just like try a different cable. If it's in the wall, obviously you can't do that, but take it down from where it's at, put it right up against your switch and try that. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's all I got. And capture your logs too. I would open up a support request with UniFi too. I know they RMA'd one, but they're pretty responsive now on their support stuff. You can log support stuff right through their UDM. So yeah. Let's see. Docker is a tool for building containers, images. Kates is how you run them long term. I tend to agree. I tend to agree. At home, you know, running containers is I think okay too, long term for sure. Bill Mayer, pain equals IPv says, oh yeah, okay. HA proxy Keepalived djoy equals Kubernetes. Yeah, I know we're talking about it, and a lot of folks want to string together, you know, technologies. And when I start to hear that, that's when I'm saying, oh, you're starting to build Kubernetes, and I get it. I get it, but I feel like this is like, it starts to turn into like the infrastructure version of spaghetti code, you know, when you're like, oh, I'll build this thing. It's great. Didn't think about, you know, expanding, which you don't. You only have one use case. And then, you know, you acquire a little tech debt and you're like, okay, I'll just bolt on this one thing. Wasn't meant to be used like that, but I'll just write some more code right there. Next person gets to it and they see it and they're like, oh, well, they did that last time. I'm kind of going to do that same thing, but a different way. And so at some point it's like, when do you refactor, you know? And when you start to get into a lot, you know, bringing in a lot of things, a lot of different technologies that are doing exactly what Kubernetes does and does them really well, sometimes you have to wonder, like, when do you refactor? You don't ever have to. If it's your home and your home lab, you don't ever have to. I'm just saying that's what goes on in my head, because me being a programmer, I'm like, yeah, like that. When you start to see spaghetti code, you see how it happens. It normally doesn't start out that way. It's if you check the commits over time and the use cases over time, you're like, yeah, this is how it got there. But sometimes you got to pay down that debt. And so when do you pay down that debt? You know, that's $1 million question for most software devs teams. Most developers say right away. Most product owners say never. So somewhere in between. This. Okay, let's see. You could still use external services in Kubernetes with traffic, for example. Yeah, to get some certs. Absolutely. Absolutely you can. Let's see. Bill, 3 SSDs as cache, 6 hard drives, and RAID Z2. Ooh, RAID Z2? I would, yeah, that's tough. I mean, I would not do RAID Z2 at first. Just create a simple mirror. You know, create mirrored VDEVs, you know, create a mirror and then you have 6 disks, do that 3 times. So 3 mirrors and add them to that same pool. Because then you're going to get, you know, the most IOPS out of them. And then forget about your cache drives for now. Forget it. Like, take that complexity out of there. Like, you know, take that complexity out of there, go mirrors. And if you really want, you know, go 0 and stripe it. Just to see, but most likely it's going to be your disk layout, or it's going to be, you know, synchronous writes or not. And I know your cache is there to help alleviate those synchronous writes, but at the same time, like, take that complexity out, because it should be able to smoke those drives, you know, without it. And then once, you know, I feel like the cache is an optimization. Don't build it in right away, you know, optimize later. Don't pre-optimize, you know, verify your results first. And then so you can actually see that it's actually doing something, you know, verify and optimize afterwards. So it's build it, test it, then verify, then optimize it, then verify, because you might find out that you don't even need those 3 SSDs, you know. Yeah, you need a lot of VDEVs to get saturation. I agree. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. Like, do mirrors. Build a pool of mirrors. You know, it's funny. I was just going through this morning, redoing a lot of my TrueNAS stuff. You know, create a VDEV of mirrors, 2 drives, create it. You can create all 3 at once, but it's a little bit easier if you do that first. Create your mirror of your pool, then go back, add 2 more disks to that pool. It'll automatically be a mirror because that's all you can do. Then do the same thing, add those last 2 disks as a mirror VDEV to that pool, and then you have 3 mirrored VDEVs, and then test it. And then if that doesn't work, turn off synchronous writes. I'm sorry. Yeah, turn off synchronous writes just for now. I'm not saying keep it that way, just to test. And then if you see a performance difference, turn it back on. Then you'll want to add your drives. I don't think you need cache. I think you need slog. Because cache is just a level 2 cache when you run out of RAM, I think. And so if you're not running out of RAM, which you do in TrueNAS, but I think slog is what you want for long sustained writes, so it can fill up that slog when it hasn't received the acknowledgments yet. When you've been sending a ton. I think that's how it works. Yeah, we are a little bit over. Let me see. I'm gonna pull something out of nowhere. Oh, yeah, I see a Yocto in there. Yeah, Yocto. I'm just gonna click on this because I saw the name. You're welcome. It's easy to get overwhelmed with big projects, and when you do, it's easy just it's not to want to do anything. Give yourself something small and fun to accomplish when you can't. Give yourself a little bit. Yourself that little rush of accomplishment. I agree. Small wins are good. Create, one tiny project. That's what I'm saying. Like, spend an hour doing cable management. I know it sounds boring, but you'll feel so much better if it's done. And like, hey, there's an end to it. Maybe, unless your rack's like mine. But there's an end to it. There's a start and there's an end. End is when it's done and it looks nice. It wants to, it looks the way you want it to. If it's something you want to learn, and it's like, it's a 3-day, task. Or if it's like, hey, I want to learn how to, I don't know, I want to learn Ceph tonight in an hour. Not happening, not happening, But if you break that up into little parts and say, okay, here's the big project. Let's break up the task. Okay, I need hardware. How am I going to get that hardware? It's going to be physical, virtual. Maybe I'll work on that tonight. Create through 3 virtual machines. Cool. Now it's ready for next time, so I can play around with Ceph. And then it's like, okay, now let's get Ceph configured on one of these machines. Cool. That was an hour, and go from there. I think so too. LAN cache, proxy cache, LAN cache, DNS containers are separate. You can split them apart and run them in different hosts. Yeah, I saw that. You can do the monolith way, or you can do the separate container way too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's interesting. The one reason why I didn't pull the trigger on it yet is because it relies on HTTP protocol. HTTP protocol, yes, but HTTP unsecured through TLS, which isn't a problem. I mean, this is what most CDNs do, because you can't inspect the HTTPS traffic to say what exactly are you looking for, and so that's why a lot of CDNs have spun up an HTTP endpoint for people so they can cache these things. It's kind of like it's this weird unofficial contract where it's like, hey, we're a CDN, but we don't want you hammering us, or we have these files, we don't want you hammering us, so we're going to take SSL off on one endpoint so you can grab it over HTTP so that then you can cache it on your side. It's pretty cool that CDNs have done that. Because if you think about it, TLS does, there's a little bit of overhead of running it. It takes a little additional compute. But if you're a CDN, that's a lot for 1 million people, whatever, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 users all hitting something at once. That is a lot. So allowing people to cache things offsite too is it's a win-win. Anyways, yeah. And so I was thinking, like, man, outside of a few CDNs and gaming stuff, and some Windows updates too, it's tough to find things that I use that actually will use LAN cache. A lot, I just get a ton of cache misses. Anyways, this is all going into like my thought and my notes for the video in case I do it. So it's funny because I was just researching that. Anyways, all right, I'm picking one random one. Here we go. By the way, guys, what are you using for documentation? Wiki. I'm using Obsidian and Bookstack, but wondering if what other ones you people are using, if any. I think it spans the gamut here. Spans the gamut. Some people like, some people like Notion. Some people like Obsidian. Some people like Notepad. Some people like Apple Notes. Probably not. Some people like Google Keep. It's all over the place. I would say the best one is the one you use and the one you have on you. It's the one that's available and that you will use. For me, it's a hodgepodge, but once I put my notes into some kind of formal thing, it ends up going on the public web. So mine is Markdown. Markdown for the win. For me, helps me structure and format a lot of my documentation. See, Markdown's not a system. It's it's a language, so then I could port it to anywhere. So but I would say it's the one you're going to use. I know it's with documentation systems and Node apps and stuff, it's easy to hop around and say, oh, this one's great and this one's better. Oh, I was trying that, and I used Evernote and now I jumped over here and now I'm not using Evernote. I use OneNote and now I'm using Apple Notes, Google Keep, you name it, Notion, Obsidian. But I think it's the one that you're going to use when you need it, right? When you need to jot something down, when you need to figure something out or get something out of your head, it's going to be the one that you reach for. So hopefully it's that. So yeah. Okay. Hey everyone, thank you so much. Wow, that time went by really fast. Thank you all so much for joining. Man, thank you so much. There were subs, there was gifted subs. Thank you so much. If the alert didn't go off, I do apologize, but I think I called off all the ones that I saw, so I do appreciate it. If you guys want to continue the conversation, I would love to. I think a lot of you are in our Discord server, but if you're not, you should join. You can join by clicking on that link that PC Geek just posted. If you need it later, you can always come back to chat and do ! Discord, or you can just search. You can just search Techno Tim Discord, and there are lots of people. I think, I don't know, over 9,000 people in our Discord. Super low ping, super smart people. Somehow I got lucky and got the smartest, nicest people in my Discord. A lot of regulars, a lot of nice people that are willing to help, a lot of super smart people, a lot of ones you see in here today. And if you have, questions or just want to hang out or have some tech chit chat throughout the day, I encourage you to join. If you need help from me, I'm there if you need it too. A lot of times, a lot of people in there have way better answers than I do anyway. So it's a win-win. I learn so much from it every day. And it's one of the few communities in Discord where it goes without saying, it's mine, but at the same time, it's the right combination for me of the things I'm interested in and the things I don't know about, and perspectives I may be overlooking. So anyways, thank you all for joining. I will be back next Saturday. If you have no idea when I'm going to stream, you can find it in Discord. I'm going to start using that event in Discord. If not, it's usually Saturday, sometimes Friday, but I'll post there. And in Discord, if you join, click that little rocket ship and that'll notify you in Discord. If you don't want them anymore, unclick that rocket ship and that won't notify you. Or get notifications here. All right, I'm done. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Good to see you all in chat. I appreciate it. I will be back here next Saturday. Hopefully I have something out this week. Like I said, I've been working on my HomeLab Tour video. I've been cleaning stuff up, like literally cleaning stuff up and tidying stuff up because I got to make it look nice. I'd love to show off how it's changed since last year. So hopefully I get that soon. Hey, have a good Saturday. Have a good rest of the week, and I will see you in Discord. And take care, folks. Be good to each other. Take care.